France suddenly unloads 129 tons of gold, secures $15 billion. Germany and Italy may follow as Europe reconsiders U.S. dependence. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Global Perspective. A move that has sent shockwaves through the global financial system. France has unexpectedly offloaded 129 tons of gold, securing a staggering $15 billion in profit. But what makes this development truly striking is not just the massive figure. It is the strategic message behind it. Paris is moving swiftly to pull its critical assets out of the sphere of American financial influence. This action immediately raises a burning question across Europe. If France has already taken the first step, will Germany and Italy, two nations holding vast gold reserves in the United States, remain passive? Or are Berlin and Rome preparing to follow Paris, bringing their gold back home and stepping away from Washington's financial grip? What appears to be a simple gold transaction is rapidly evolving into a signal of a shifting Western financial order. 129 tons of gold gone, a silent move shaking Europe. France has acted, and acted decisively. A total of 129 tons of gold has been removed from U.S. custody through a series of precisely calculated financial operations. The result was immediate: a profit of up to $15 billion, enough to significantly reshape the financial standing of the French central bank. For decades, storing gold in New York was part of the Western financial order. European nations placed their assets under U.S. protection in exchange for liquidity and transactional convenience. France did the same. A portion of its reserves was stored deep underground within the American financial system, tied to the assumption that this alliance was permanent. But Paris chose to break that pattern. Instead of physically transporting gold, a risky and complex process, France executed a swap strategy. Selling gold held in the U.S. and instantly repurchasing an equivalent amount within Europe. A total of 26 separate transactions were carried out quietly but with precision. The 129 tons, about 5% of France's total reserves of 2,437 tons, were effectively withdrawn from the U.S. without a single bar physically crossing borders. Everything was replaced with gold of higher international standards, better liquidity, and, most importantly, under direct French control. The $15 billion profit came from the price difference between decades-old acquisition costs and today's record-high gold prices. France locked in gains at the perfect moment, turning dormant reserves into real financial power. Germany and Italy under pressure. What options remain? Once France demonstrated this could be done profitably, others could no longer ignore it. Germany now finds itself in a difficult position. With over 3,000 tons of gold reserves, the second largest in the world, about 37% remains stored in the United States. That's more than 1,200 tons, a massive strategic asset sitting outside national territory. Under normal conditions, this poses no immediate risk. But in today's volatile geopolitical climate, scenarios involving sanctions, asset freezes, or conflicts of interest are no longer theoretical. France has proven that dependency can be reduced, without losses, and even with gains. This has shaken the very logic of keeping gold abroad. Italy faces a similar, even more complex situation. Its reserves are not only held in the U.S., but also scattered across London and Switzerland, fragmenting control across multiple financial centers. France has now shown a different model: full domestic control, financial efficiency, and strategic independence. The pressure on Rome is rising. A crack in financial trust, gold becomes strategic power. For decades, storing gold in the United States symbolized trust and alliance. But today, that trust is being questioned. Geopolitical shocks, unpredictable policies, and the rise of national interests have changed the equation. Gold, the most fundamental reserve asset, being held abroad now represents a vulnerability. France saw this risk earlier than others. Instead of waiting for crisis, it acted in advance. The withdrawal of 129 tons was not a reaction, but the culmination of a long-term strategy. Gold is no longer just an asset. It is power. In worst-case scenarios, when financial systems fracture or sanctions escalate, gold becomes the last line of defense. France has demonstrated something critical. It is possible to regain control, optimize profit, and maintain stability. A quiet shift, The global gold flow is changing. Recent market signals suggest that physical gold is slowly moving away from traditional centers like New York and London. Central banks are shifting from foreign custody to domestic control. Liquidity is no longer the only priority. Control is. This marks a fundamental shift in the global financial model. France's move acts as a trigger. Not panic, but recalculation. A message to Washington: control of assets is everything. In an era where financial sanctions are used as geopolitical tools, holding national assets abroad is becoming increasingly risky. Recent global events have shown that assets can be frozen overnight. France acted before facing such a scenario. By bringing gold home, it eliminated that risk entirely. If this trend spreads, the United States may lose more than just its role as a gold custodian. It could lose part of its financial influence. Beyond the West, a global gold accumulation race. Countries like China and India have been aggressively increasing gold reserves for years. Unlike Europe, they are not debating where to store gold. They are focused on how much to accumulate. Gold is being brought home and held directly, outside Western-controlled systems. When combined with France's actions, a clear pattern emerges. A global move toward financial independence. $15 billion. Gold rescues a central bank. The profit from this operation is not just symbolic. It has fundamentally changed how the French central bank operates. Facing losses from high interest rates, France found an exit. Gold became a financial lifeline. If other central banks follow this model, the role of traditional monetary policy could diminish. A crisis scenario: who truly owns their wealth? Imagine a severe geopolitical crisis. The United States freezes foreign assets. Gold stored abroad suddenly becomes inaccessible. Not gone, but unusable. France has removed itself from that risk. Others have not. Germany, Italy, and many more. In a crisis, there will be two groups. Those who control their assets, and those who only appear to. France has already chosen its side. Middle East update. A strategic shift. A major turning point has unfolded in the Middle East. Syria has officially taken control of all former U.S. military bases after the withdrawal of United States forces. This marks the end of nearly a decade of American military presence. The transition was coordinated to avoid conflict. These bases, once central to counterterrorism operations, are now under Damascus control. This significantly alters the regional security landscape. U.S.-Iran talks stalled. A dangerous vacuum emerges. Negotiations between Iran and the United States have reached a prolonged deadlock. Key disagreements over nuclear programs, sanctions, and security guarantees remain unresolved. Experts now describe the region as entering a dangerous vacuum, a fragile state where conflict is neither resolved nor fully active. Any small incident could escalate rapidly. Iran's military strength remains intact. Despite repeated strikes, Iran retains significant military capability. Thousands of missiles and a large fleet of drones remain operational. Many systems are hidden in underground networks, making them difficult to neutralize. Even without full-scale war, this capability sustains ongoing tension across the region. Russia steps in. Energy lifeline to Cuba. Russia has pledged continued oil supplies to Cuba despite external pressure. Cuba is currently facing a severe fuel crisis affecting electricity and transportation. Recent shipments from Russia have provided temporary relief. However, long-term stability remains uncertain.